Hello the internet, my name's Lauren, welcome to my channel. As you might be able to tell from the title of this video, I am here to give some advice to the self-proclaimed black thumbs out there in the world. Here's my advice. There's no such thing as a black thumb. There you go, video over. Okay, I'm not actually serious, but I do actually believe that there is no such thing as a black thumb. And if you'd like to know why I believe that, stick around for the rest of the video. Alright, so, no such thing as a black thumb. What the heck could she mean by that? Doesn't she know how many plants I have killed in the course of my life? Here's the thing. Taking care of plants is a skill just like any other skill out there. It's like if somebody handed you a hammer, nail, and some boards and said, go build something. You kind of know probably how hammer and nails work, and you could probably figure out how to put a nail through the boards. But what are you trying to make? Do you have any idea? Did the nail go all the way through the first board? How long was the nail? Did it go through both boards and into whatever you were hammering into? How many times did you have to hit the nail or try and hit the nail before you actually hit the nail? Carpentry is a skill. Taking care of plants is also a skill. So if you think of yourself as a black thumb, what you're really saying is you don't have that skill set yet for taking care of plants. And so I am going to give you a little bit of advice, just the most basic of advice. So this is for people who really think they just can't keep a plant alive. I'm going to give you the most basic advice so that you can keep a plant alive, and then hopefully eventually you'll take what you learn from the very most basic of taking care of plants, and you'll be able to get those amazing plants that you might see in videos and all that kind of stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Lowe's. I'm going to point out some really, really easy plants to take care of, give you a couple different options, and then I'm going to show you the one piece of equipment that is like the most important thing that you can have if you have trouble keeping plants alive, and even if you don't, it's super useful. And so we're going to go there, and I'm going to show that stuff to you. All right, so come on along. Okay, guys, we are here at Lowe's, and I'm going to show you 4 plants that they have here that I think are very, very easy keepers. And the first one here is this rubber tree plant. So this is a Ficus elastica, burgundy. They have these really nice red stripes. The leaves are really shiny. These ones are a little dirty right now, but the leaves are very, very nice and shiny. Let me show you the little card. It says tolerant, but I've had one of these and I had a really hard time killing it. So I'm going to recommend that one. We also have what is called a snake plant, or a sansevieria. So these guys have these really cool stripes down their ends of their leaves. And they actually have them marked as plants of steel, durable and low maintenance. These guys, the ficus kind of want some light, but sansevieria really don't need much light at all. And so this is a really good idea. Prices, this is $14.98. This one is also $14.98 for this size. They also have some smaller ones over here. These are $10.98. It's the same thing. There are also different varieties of sansevieria, the snake plant. This one here is, obviously you can tell this one's not healthy, so try and find one where all the leaves look good. Check over any plant before you buy it. And then we have our golden pothos. So this one here is on a moss pole. Sometimes they have them in hanging baskets. Because this is a trailing plant. There aren't any of those here right now, but you're looking for, there's the name there, golden pothos, or you can find a green pothos. They have marble pothos, which has white here instead of this yellow. So they've got that, and then there's a tiny little one here. That's just a smaller version for $3.98. And the last thing is this Zemicolis. It's called a ZZ plant. And this guy's got nice, pretty foliage. Again, super easy to take care of. And they have these interesting bulbs that they grow out of, which is, I don't know, I find that kind of interesting. And these are $10.98 also. And you'll be able to find them in different sizes. You know, not necessarily have to get like a super big one. You can get a little one to start out with. And then the other thing that I really recommend, this is the only piece of equipment that I would recommend, is a moisture light and pH meter. And as you can see in there, the thing that most people use this for is the moisture. There's the whole thing. It's got these little rods that you stick down in the plant, and it will tell you whether it's dry, moist, or wet, and then you can use that to determine whether or not you should be watering your plant, because most people who kill plants, it comes from overwatering them, because you feel like you should be doing something, and so you water. And this will let you know when you're supposed to water, and I will show you how to use that when I get back home, because I have one, obviously. It's very handy. So, but that's it. Usually they're around $10. And I mean, it's literally called moisture light and pH meter, so if you have somebody like look it up if you can't find them, because it's just like kind of on the end of this row here at my Lowe's. You know, ask for a moisture light and pH meter, and I know Home Depot has them too, as well as Lowe's. So, okay, so now I'm back at home, and this is the Ficus Elastica Burgundy that I have. I've had this thing for a whole bunch of years, and treated it rather poorly for a while, so it's actually still pretty small, but this is my baby. And I'm going to show you how to use my little moisture meter. So I've got my soil. I can feel if I just touch in there that it's kind of dry up at the top. I'm going to stick this down in here. We're going to look at it, and it says that it is just above a 1, so it is not completely dry yet. And then I'm going to go over here in like a different spot and stick it down in there. And see, now it's saying that it's just under a 1. So it's pretty dry in general. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to water a little bit. Get a nice bit of water like that. It occurs to me now that I don't have a thing under it, and so all the water is going to come out the bottom. But that's okay. So as you can see, we've watered that in just a little bit. I didn't put all that much in there, if you noticed, and a lot of it's coming out the bottom. So now we're going to take this guy and stick it back in there. And look at that. It has gone up just a little bit, but not much, right? But we just poured all that water in there. So why do you think that is? And look, there's water coming out the bottom. We stick it over there. Same thing. So what's that tell us? It tells us that although we watered it, we didn't really water it. We've got all this water coming out the bottom. All right, so now hold on, I'm going to clean this up, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so I've cleaned up the water. There are 2 ways that you can deal with this situation. One of them is that you can take your plant to a sink and then water it a whole bunch, you know, and let it drain through, but then after it's drained through, you water it again until when you stick in the little tongs, it starts registering that it is. See now the soil here, now that I've done it a second time, it is going that it is moist, right? So that was after I did it a second time, but look, if I go over here, see just right under the surface, if I dig down, that soil is all dry there, right? So if I go down in here, all right, so over here it's saying it's moist too. And up in here, it's saying that it's dry. So this is one of the things where with watering, sometimes you think you've watered it and it's not actually as watered as you think it is, or you think that it's dry because the top part of it is dry, and then you stick that down in there and then the moisture meter shows that it's still wet down in there. So it's hard to tell. That's why this thing is so important. That's why this guy is so great, because you don't ever have to guess, oh, is it wet? Oh, is it dry? You know, blah, 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 right? You can look at it and see. So I'm going to add a little bit more water in there. We're going to let that soak all in. And it's coming out the bottom and going down my little sink. This is my utility sink, that's why there's like paintbrushes and stuff in here, but that's okay. And now we're gonna go in there and look, now we've gotten to moist. All right, and we'll look at it over here. Oh, it's a little dry right there. Still a little dry over there. And so this is the thing that you want to do is, it doesn't need to be moist everywhere, but you want it to be moist. You don't want it to be wet, you want it to be moist. So we've got, most of our spots are moist and some of our spots are still dry. So we're gonna go with it again. All right. Yep, now we're doing much, much better. Okay, so now we've got this thing evenly moist. And so what you want to do when you get your plant, whichever plant it is that you choose, I gave you a bunch of options so you could choose which one you really like. You're going to wait until the plant is dry on this meter. So you're going to stick this in 2 or 3 different places, depending on the size of your pot. The smaller your pot is, the less variance there's going to be. So this is a medium-sized pot, pretty much. So probably 2 or 3 spots. You saw me check 2. You want it to be dry. Oh, this is still, hold on. It's still reading wet because there's still wet dirt on it from sticking it in there. Okay. So you want it to read dry before you water it. If you stick it in there and it's still like at 3 or in the moist or the wet, then you're gonna want to let it dry out more. You want it to wait, especially on these plants that I recommended for you, wait until it's completely dry. Then you can go through and water it nice and thoroughly until it's moist. You don't want to make it wet, because this type of plant does not need to be wet. This is the type of plant that likes to be moist. And so you will stop there. And then, usually if I water them in the sink, I let them drain for a little while so you don't get water everywhere, or you can get a little thing for them to sit on, a little, what are these called? Water trays, saucers. They have a name and I can't think of it right now. Anyway, so that it doesn't get all over, you know, your house or wherever it is you're keeping it. Most of my plants I try and keep a little tray under them. Some of them don't have it and I have to be more careful about not watering them without something under them. But yeah, now that this guy is watered, especially in a pot like this, it's probably going to be, and especially during the winter, it's probably going to be at least 2 weeks before I would even start needing to check this. Like, you don't need to water it all that much at all. And you don't, like I said, you don't ever water unless it's dry on the meter there. And the other thing that you want to do is you want to look at your plant every day and just see, like, how do the leaves feel? Like, you know, okay, that's kind of, This one feels pretty shiny on the top, or not shiny, it's smooth on the top. If I try and kind of bend it a little bit, like there's resistance there. I don't want to actually snap it, obviously, but you want to see like how do the leaves feel, right? And then the little leaves, because eventually you'll be able to tell what kind, like how much water it possibly needs by the leaves getting kind of droopy. And those are the little things that you want to start noticing now. You want to see what's normal for your plant, whichever plant you got. And then that way, if you know, you go to it one day and you're like, oh, that's not right, then you might know, oh, I need to check and see whether or not it needs to be watered. It'll also keep you so that you can notice if there's any pests or bugs or anything like that. We're not going to go over that in this video, but if you see something that looks like it's crawling on there, you probably want to, obviously you want to go and check some YouTube videos on pests. I'm not going to do one quite yet, but check YouTube videos on pests so you know what you're looking for. And that way, if you do happen to see something, you know, there'll be plenty of videos for that. But more than likely, you're not going to have that kind of problem, especially if you've only got one plant, or maybe two plants if you got excited and bought two of the plants that I recommended, because, you know, you just don't have enough to pull the bugs in, as long as you check to make sure that the plant is healthy before you brought it home. So yeah, there's your video. You're going to want to do this for a while. You know, just have the one plant that you've gotten, and use your moisture meter just like I showed you, and then that way you'll know whether or not you need to water it or not water it. You want it to be moist when you water it, and you want it to dry all the way out before you water it again. Your plant is not going to die if it's dry for a couple of days. You know, plants store water in there. At the same time, you don't want to leave it super dry for like ever. Now, having said that, these are plants that you probably could leave dry. This Ficus burgundy or Ficus elastica burgundy that I have, I had a good habit for a while of, and I'm kind of ashamed to say this, of just not watering it for months. And it managed to survive. That's why it's one of the ones that I'm recommending that you can have, because it was pretty, as long as this one gets some light, you know, it's not going to be crazy. So a lot of times, you know, if you don't know what you're doing, your tendency is to overwater. So if you feel like you want to water, oh my gosh, should I water? Is my plant dying? Check the moisture meter and don't water it unless it's completely dry. If you do that, and you don't like stick this in the complete, you know, whatever your plant is in the complete dark, you're going to be okay. All right? So give that a shot, and I almost guarantee that you are not going to kill this plant. All right? So if you like this video, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel. One of the best things you can do if you want to get better at planting is just watch a whole bunch of videos. Like, watch my videos, but go out there and find other people, Plantarella, or Plantarina, I think her name is, Harley G. There's so many people out there that will help you just learn about plants before you get them, and then when you start feeling like you've got a little bit more of an idea, go and try a second plant. You know, use your moisture meter, see how it goes. And pretty soon you'll be working your way up. All right? Have a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you all the best plantiness in the world.